In order to compare and order integers, or put them in order from least to greatest, we first need to talk about integers and what they mean. This is on our list, our diagram. Remember, we were talking about real numbers in this class, and underneath real numbers, we split into rational and irrational. And if we keep going underneath rational, we find integers. And integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So if you remember our list, whole numbers begin at 0 and they go on for infinity. That's what these 3 dots mean. So here are whole numbers. And we can see that integers are whole numbers and their opposites. And so opposites is what gives us the negative side. And that will also go on for negative infinity. That's what these dots mean right here. So the opposite of 2 is negative 2. And if you'll notice, these two are opposites because they are the same distance away from 0, which is our center number. I am 1, 2 bounces away from there, and 1, 2 bounces away from there. That's what makes these numbers opposites. And I think that's also something that you guys probably already knew before watching this lesson. So I'd like you to write down that the negative symbol means opposite. So -5 is how we would read this in a math class. It actually means the opposite of 5. So if I were to continue this number line up here, right after 3 would come 4 and then 5, the opposite of 5 would be whatever number is 5 away on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, what's going to be 5 away on this other side? Well, it's going to be -5. -4 here and -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those two numbers are called opposites. Now this one is a little bit more challenging. I've got a, looks like a -12. Well, remember that this means opposite. So what is the opposite of -12? So here's my -12. What's the opposite of -12? Well, that would be 12. So this is another way that we can think about these symbols. You can think of this as -5 or the opposite of 5. And what I was just demonstrating on that last page actually has a name. Go ahead and record this in your notes as a definition. Absolute value. Absolute value is a number's distance from 0. And it's used, it's shown by these two vertical parallel lines. So this right here means the absolute value of 8 is how you would read that. Oops, forgot the word of. The absolute value of 8. And the absolute value of 8 is 8. Oops. So the absolute value of 8 is 8. It is 8 spaces away from 0 on a number line. And here is the absolute value of -3. How far away is -3 from 0? Well, here's -3. 1, 2, 3. It is 3 spaces away from 0. What I hope that you've noticed is that these answers are positive. And in your notes, this is going to be important to write down. Absolute value is always positive. And the reason it's always positive is because it's a distance. I can't go -10 miles in my car. I can go 10 miles in one direction and 10 miles back, but there's no such thing as -10 miles. So what comes out of these absolute value symbols is always positive. Now I need you to listen very carefully. That doesn't mean every answer to a question is positive. For example, the absolute value of 17 is 17. That's how far away it is from 0. The absolute value of negative 17 is also 17. That's how far it is away from 0. But in this question, we need to be careful. What comes out of these symbols is positive because it's a distance. The absolute value of negative 17 is 17, and I already knew that. I just did that problem right here. So what comes out is positive, but then this other negative sign comes down to join it for a final answer of negative 17. So to review, what comes out of absolute value symbols is always going to be positive, but that doesn't mean that every answer to a question is going to be positive. It's a little bit tricky. So here's some questions to work on. What comes out of these symbols will be positive. The absolute value of negative 32 is positive 32. What comes out of these symbols will be positive. The absolute value of 9 is 9, but then there's a negative symbol that will come down and join on my final answer. The absolute value of 29 is 29, but then this negative sign will come down and join my answer. The absolute value of negative 17 is 17, but then this negative sign will come down and join my answer. Here are 4 questions that I would like you to copy down and complete to try in your notes. Remember, you can pause the video right here to copy these down. And here's a game that you can try. It is a really fast-moving game. The more that you answer, the higher your score will be. Go ahead and record your score, bring it to class tomorrow. tinyurl.com/carnesav stands for absolute value.